The moment you stop needing her approval, everything begins to change. And yes, I know that sounds backward. I know you have probably heard something like that before and dismissed it. Maybe it sounded like empty motivation. Maybe it sounded like one of those lines people repeat just to feel better for a few minutes. But this is not that. This is psychology. This is the reason the more you chased her, the more distant she became. It is the reason the more you tried to prove your love, the less she seemed to feel it. It is the reason every late night text, every "I just want us to be okay," every desperate attempt to fix things pushed her a little farther away instead of bringing her closer. By the end of this message, you will understand why this happens, what she actually feels when you need her approval, and the exact point where the whole dynamic starts turning in a different direction. Stay with me, because once you truly understand this, you will never look at relationships the same way again. And before we go deeper, if this kind of truth speaks to you, subscribe to the channel. This space is for honest conversations, real relationship psychology, and the truth most people are too afraid to say clearly. If that is what you need, subscribe now and let's begin. First, let me say something important. You are not weak for feeling this deeply. You are not pathetic because this hurt. You are a man who cared. You are a man who loved. And that is exactly why this cut so deeply. You probably replay conversations in your mind late at night. You probably scroll back through old messages looking for the exact point where everything changed. You ask yourself what you said wrong, what you should have done differently, why someone who once made you feel chosen now barely responds to your name. Most men think the answer is that she changed overnight. They think she became cold. They think she suddenly stopped caring. They think something random happened that destroyed the connection. But that is usually not the full story. What often happened is that something you did from care, from love, from genuine concern, triggered a psychological response in her that you did not understand at the time. You did not fail because you loved too much. You failed because you did not understand how that love was being experienced on the other side. You were trying to protect the connection. But the way you did it created pressure, and pressure changes attraction. That is what we are going to break down. And there is one trigger underneath all of it that most men never really see. It is the reason basic advice often does not fully work. Going quiet for a few days, keeping busy, getting in shape, distracting yourself, those things can help on the surface, but without understanding the deeper trigger, you are only treating symptoms. We will come back to that trigger near the end because when it clicks, everything else will finally make sense. So let's start here. Neediness is not just a feeling. Neediness becomes a signal, and she feels that signal immediately. Think about a man named Marcus. Marcus was dating a woman he truly cared about. She was warm, intelligent, attractive, and for a while things felt strong. Then one day her energy shifted, she became distant. Her messages got shorter. She felt less available. Marcus did what most men do. He leaned in harder. He checked in more often. He asked if she was okay. He reminded her that he cared. He told her he was there for her. He tried to bring things back to how they used to be. And every time he did that, she pulled back even more. Marcus thought he was showing love, but what she was actually feeling was something very different. Here is the psychology. When a woman pulls back and a man chases, he thinks he is saying, "I care about you." But what she often experiences is, "I need your response to feel okay." And that changes everything. Because the moment she senses that your emotional stability depends on her reaction, the dynamic shifts. She stops feeling drawn toward you and starts feeling the weight of your need. And attraction does not grow under pressure, it fades under pressure. A woman does not feel closer when she senses that she is responsible for keeping you emotionally steady. She starts feeling burdened by it. She starts feeling watched by it. She starts feeling that your peace is in her hands. And once that happens, desire weakens. So here's the first step. The next time you feel the urge to reach out just to check whether everything is okay, stop. Do not send the message right away. Do not go looking at her profile. Do not send a soft little text just to test the water. Sit in the discomfort for 24 hours. Let the silence breathe, because silence from a grounded man says something powerful. It says, "I am okay even without your immediate response." And that feeling, the feeling that you are emotionally steady without needing her to regulate you, is deeply attractive. Now let's move into the second point, because this is where many men make the biggest mistake of all. The moment you make her your source, you give away your power. There was another man, Jordan. Jordan had a solid life. He had work he cared about, friends who respected him, goals that mattered to him. He had direction. But once he became deeply attached to this woman, everything else started fading into the background. She became his first thought in the morning and his last thought at night. He began canceling plans in case she texted. He stopped focusing on his body. He drifted away from his routines. He slowly put his purpose on hold because her attention started feeling more important than the life he had been building. And this is the part nobody told Jordan. The moment one person becomes the center of your identity, you start losing the very qualities that drew them toward you in the first place. She was not drawn to a man with no life. She was drawn to a man with energy, with direction, with substance, with a world of his own. And when you compress your whole identity into her, she does not feel deeply loved. She feels the pressure of being your center. And once she feels that, respect begins to fade, even if she cannot explain why. This connects to a simple principle. Scarcity creates value. What is rare matters more. What is always there becomes easier to overlook. You became too available, too easy to access, too easy to assume would always be there. And the sad part is that you did it from care. But care expressed in the wrong way can damage attraction just as quickly as neglect. So here is the action. Write down 3 parts of your life that existed before her. Maybe it was the gym, maybe it was a creative project, maybe it was a skill, maybe it was your business, maybe it was the group of men around you who brought out your strength. Now go back to those things. Not to make her jealous, not to perform indifference, but because those things are part of you. And when you abandon them, you abandoned yourself. The man you were before you started needing her approval is the man she first felt drawn to. Now let's go to the third point, because this is where the real shift happens. The man who becomes unforgettable is the man who genuinely releases the need for the outcome. This is one of the most misunderstood moments in all relationship dynamics. There comes a point when one person pulls away and the other keeps trying to hold on. But eventually, if he is lucky and honest, a different moment comes. A moment where he stops needing the situation to end a certain way, not pretending to stop, not acting indifferent while secretly refreshing his phone every 10 minutes, actually letting go of the need. And when that happens, something changes in the energy between them. She feels it. Maybe she cannot explain it, but she feels it. Think about Tyler. Tyler had been chasing his ex for months after the breakup. He texted, he called, he showed up. He tried being softer, he tried being stronger. He tried being everything he thought she might want. Nothing worked. Then one week, something in him finally broke open. Not because he found a trick, because he got tired. Tired of waiting, tired of chasing, tired of needing her return in order to feel okay again. And instead of trying another tactic, he turned back toward himself. He started waking up and choosing his own life again. He returned to his routine. He returned to his work. He returned to his body. He returned to his peace. And within a short time, she reached out. Not because he manipulated her, because his energy had changed completely. This connects to something powerful in psychology. When a woman feels that you are no longer emotionally trapped in waiting for her approval, her mind starts questioning the story she told herself about you. If you were so dependent on her, why are you suddenly calm? If you were so easy to leave behind, why are you not falling apart? If you were so replaceable, why does your absence suddenly feel heavier than she expected? That question creates tension inside her. It creates curiosity. It creates a pull. And none of that begins until you genuinely release the need for her response to determine your worth. So here is the hard step. You have to let go of the outcome, not as a move, as a decision, a real decision that your peace, your value, your progress, and your life will not sit frozen waiting for one person's response. Now we move into the fourth point. Approval seeking destroys polarity. And polarity is part of what attraction needs. There is a force in attraction most men were never taught to understand. Call it polarity, call it energetic tension, call it the difference between grounded masculine stability and reactive approval seeking. When a man is rooted in himself, sure of himself, not shaken by every mood around him, something in feminine energy responds naturally. Not because it is a trick, because groundedness is attractive. But when that same man starts bending himself to win approval, changing his tone to avoid disapproval, adjusting his boundaries just to keep things comfortable, something collapses. The tension disappears, the polarity weakens, and with it, desire weakens too. Think about the early stage of so many relationships. Why did the attraction feel stronger then? Because at the beginning, he was still himself. He was present, relaxed, focused on his life. He had not yet started making her opinion the center of his emotional world. He did not need to check in constantly. He did not need reassurance every few hours. He was busy living. And that gave him presence. That gave him weight. That gave him a calm confidence that did not depend on how she felt that day. That is what you need to return to. So here's the practice. This week, watch your own behavior. Before you send something, say something, or do something, ask yourself one question. Am I doing this from strength, or am I doing this because I need her to feel a certain way about me? That one question can expose almost everything. And every time you choose strength over approval seeking, you begin rebuilding what attraction originally grew from. Now let's go to the fifth point, because this is what holds everything together. Your purpose is one of the strongest things you carry, and she needs to feel that it comes before her. This is not about being cold. It is about gravity. A man with real purpose, something he is honestly building, carries a certain pull. He feels different because his life is moving towards something bigger than the emotional weather of one relationship. When she looks at you and sees a man who is deeply engaged with his own mission, she does not feel ignored. She feels your weight. She feels that your life has substance. She feels that being part of your world means something because your world itself means something. That is the shift. Not when you convince her to come back, when you become the man worth coming back toward. And now let's return to the deeper trigger I mentioned earlier. The real trigger is this: a man loses himself inside the relationship. That is where everything starts going wrong. The moment your sense of value becomes dependent on how she sees you, you stop being the man she was originally drawn to. You become reactive. You become a mirror of her moods. You make yourself smaller in order to keep the peace. You shape your behavior around what you think will keep her close. And in doing all of that, you slowly remove the very thing that created attraction in the first place. Her attraction was never rooted in your need. It was rooted in your identity, your direction, your steadiness, your sense of self, your life outside of her. The moment that disappears, desire starts weakening, not because she is cruel, because attraction cannot keep growing in the absence of a grounded, self-directed, emotionally steady man. This is the cause, this is the root, and now you can see it clearly. So let's bring it home. You are not going to rebuild attraction by proving harder how much you care. You are not going to create respect by needing her more deeply. If attraction can return at all, it will return because you rebuilt yourself, because you became rooted in your own life again, because you stopped reaching for her approval, because you reconnected with the identity and direction you quietly abandoned when she became too central. And the strongest place you can ever stand is not the place where you need her. It is the place where you are genuinely, calmly, peacefully okay, even if she never comes back. Because that peace is powerful, that calm is powerful, that grounded, unshakable inner steadiness is one of the most attractive things a man can carry. You are not weak because you went through this. You are not broken because you love deeply. You are a man who is learning, a man who is growing, a man who may be choosing himself again for the first time in a long time, and that choice changes everything. If this message reached you, subscribe to the channel. There is more honest content like this here every week, the kind of truth many people avoid saying out loud. And if you are in it right now, let that be the first turning point. Stop chasing approval, return to yourself. That is where your power begins.